Hello there Pickles and welcome back to the channel, and I wanted to come today and talk about why I am actually doing this channel, what value I think it can bring to you. So, if you're new here, grab yourself a cup of tea, strap yourself in, and let's see what old Stevie's got in his toolbox. So many of you will know that I studied a PhD in philosophy at Oxford University because I have mentioned it several times on the channel already. I studied political theory and what's known as the Western analytical tradition of philosophy. So in political theory, you are looking at these fundamental questions like, what is justice? Why should we obey the law in the first place? What kind of liberty matters in a free society? Where do human rights come from, and what kind of rights should people have, and how do we justify them? And in the analytical tradition, you are applying the rigors of logical thinking to these big, profound moral or political questions and saying, do people have sound arguments for these? How do you justify those positions? And, applying these rational principles. So I saw this as my training in rigorous thinking and applying that to bigger questions in life as well. And the pillars of life, health, wealth, relationships, happiness, and thinking about them in a rational way as well, because these are ultimately all just parts of life that have decisions that we're making. We're deciding what goals are right. We're wondering how to get to those goals or what kind of systems will make us happiest. And I believe that these are as much rational questions as emotional ones. And so at the same time I was living the academic life and teaching at Oxford University, and for a while I thought I was on that academic path, I was also writing with my brother, who has a website where he gives relationship advice, and we have a podcast together. I also do stuff on his YouTube channel. You can go check that out here. My brother, Matthew Hussey, we also talk about relationships, I think, in a rational way as well, breaking down what are the principles to happy relationships, why do some couples work and some don't, what is the best strategy for finding love. And I've always thought that a lot of these problems in life will yield to reason. It doesn't mean the answers are easy, but there is a way to systematically model what people do well and what kinds of foolishness that people engage in so that we can avoid it. I remember there's a quote by Charlie Munger, who I see as a bit of a guru of rationality. Charlie Munger's this great investor, partner of Warren Buffett, and he talked about how most of what he does is simply attempt to avoid foolishness, to avoid his own biases. And that's one of his constant missions in life. And he basically said you can get really, really far in life just by avoiding foolishness and just thinking in a way where you are going to get 1% wiser every day. You're going to read more, you're going to learn more every day, and just allowing that compound interest of making slightly smarter or not stupid decisions over time, and that yields amazing results. And that's something I deeply believe, and one of my motivations for having this channel is that I want to be able to share the things that I'm learning to avoid my own foolishness every single day, because I do believe that this can benefit people immeasurably. I don't think you have to be ridiculously high IQ or have some ingenious strategy to enjoy your life, to do well in life. I think you could do it with very simple ideas and with avoiding basic mistakes. The other part of this is that I believe there are some misconceptions about being a rational person. And on this channel, you will know, if you follow already, I have a deep love of literature, the arts. I live a creative life. I write, I make podcasts, I make videos. I love being a creative and living a creative life. And I don't think this is in conflict with being a rational person. And I think some people see these as totally separate ethoses or ways of being. They think being a rational person must mean being very clinical, very detached, like an automaton, and you think of things in such a robotic way. I think that's the sort of cliche of being rational in your thinking. And they think, well, what about emotion? What about poetry? What about the heart of life and love and all these intangible, wonderful things that really aren't, to break them down rationally or to think about them rationally can really take away from what's special about them. But I don't see it as some stark contrast like that. I think I love the creative life. I love talking about literature on this channel. I know that there's a mindset I have to get in to be creative that might involve me being more playful, relaxed, open, kind of just playing and dancing with ideas, and that's kind of the creative process. But then in my work life, I'm also can be very strategic, break down data, analyze what's working and what's not. And this is the rational brain at work. And that helps me immensely as well. You know, it's helped me in investing. It's helped me in, I've worked on another YouTube channel for years with my brother, breaking down the data and looking at what's working, what's not, what's the audience retention, where is it dropping off, looking at the stats and saying, hey, this is how we can be more effective creatively by having a deep, rational understanding of this data. So I see these as pillars, as hats that you can wear. And I know some people tip way more on one than the other, but I do believe that each will benefit from borrowing the tools of the other. So I think of myself as a rational creative. I think of myself as someone who is creative at heart. I love coming up with ideas. That's what gets me up in the morning. I get so excited coming up with new ideas for videos or podcasts or just new content I can create, books I can write, ideas I can have that share in business. And that's what really, really excites me. But I love analytical thinking. I love trying to think about trends and where things are going and looking at what people are responding to. And in my marketing life, that's that analytical brain at work. And so that's my essential thesis, is that I think those can come together a lot more. I think they're not in conflict the way that people think. And that's why on this channel, you'll see me talking about literature and novels sometimes, because that's where my love of reading came from, reading novels and literary fiction and living that life. And then I'll also talk about books that have helped me think with more clarity, with more rationality, and applying those to those areas of health, wealth, love, and happiness, because those are areas I think yield to reason ultimately. Yes, I know that intuition is powerful. I think your gut has a lot of the subconscious, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of inner wisdom there, but rationality is kind of about knowing when to listen to that and when to assess the problem in a more logical way. I think rationality also helps you decide when is my intuition really bad and wrong, and when has it been a mistake to listen to it, and what are the areas of life where applying my intuition has been super effective. So I think it's useful to think in both ways. So anyway, if you're brand new to this channel, welcome. That hopefully explains some of the range of things I talk about here, and I'd be interested to know which of these you fall more on the side of. Do you feel like you are really rational and analytical in your thought, and you aspire to maybe read some more literary books or live a more creative life and, you know, maybe write a bit? Or are you someone who's creative and you are only here because you're like, Steve, I only like it when you talk about novels and I don't care about the rational thinking stuff, and I'm just here for when you talk about books you've been reading? So let me know in the comments below, and I guess my analytical brain will be able to get some feedback on which you guys really respond to and what you like here. And yeah, I don't know exactly where the channel's going. I can't predict that. I'm kind of following, you know, what feels right and what people seem to be liking. So we'll see where it goes. But thank you for being here so far. Thank you for all your lovely comments. And that's Tea Time with Stevie.